spoken, and I'm concerned because the persons who did the homework, the majority of them are not here, and I really wanted them, for us to have this discussion. Um, a lot of persons are creating scenarios rather than using cases or case studies, or they're taking pieces of what I said in the class and not going out and doing the research and saying, according to, the Nassau Guardian on such and such a date, this was the situation, it's alleged, so you don't get any points for creating a scenario. You get points for real life cases. Another thing I saw is that I know that all of you are in the WhatsApp group, and you may find what should I call it, a past writing, or looking at past papers and you're taking information. I had at least four persons with the same wording, okay? And so you want to be very careful of that. And I had two persons with a particular quote that was used previously. And what happens is we're preparing you for ICA. When you write these essays for ICA, they're 3,500 words. The ICA requires you to format and reference in a particular way. And so that's why I sent you a copy of what their requirements are and the type of referencing they use, because you could get up to 40% persons have failed papers because of referencing. So I had asked you to go through those pages and look at the referencing style and use that in your paper. I see people copying and pasting links in their papers. You don't do that, okay? You put the footnotes and you go on and you reference properly. What happens when you submit a paper in ICA is there's a system called Turn-in or True-in, I can't pronounce it properly, but you upload your paper into that system and it tells you which percentage of your paper is copy and paste. It then tells you this percentage is Bahamian law. You get no points for rehashing. I mean, persons rehash a whole page of Bahamian law. It makes no sense. Okay, you get no points. Then it tells you this section of the paper has been submitted by another student previously. And it gives you a percentage for each of these issues. And if you get 50%, you might as well don't submit that paper because you will fail. Okay, so we want to move away from the copy and paste. I 100%, it is easier. I support working together. However, you cannot work together and walk away with the exact same information as your colleague that's in the same class as you and still expect to get full points. You won't. Okay, so like I said, I saw 4 essays with exact wording. Then I saw a lot of rehashing of laws that gave you no points, a lot of scenarios created rather than going online and looking up actual cases. Okay, and then the question starts off by asking you to use the Egmont cases, and some persons didn't even use the Egmont cases. They did no overview of the 3 cases. So I don't know, but like I said, this is very important because more than likely this will be the mandatory question on the final exam, which means everybody has to answer it, and it's worth 20 points. If you don't get at least 10 points on this question, more than likely you won't pass the final exam. So we're going to dive in a little deeper to get as much information as possible and to make sure that we are all on the same page. Okay? Are you all there? Or you all the professor?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Fair
ma'am.
enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, good. So we have to move away from Ms. Bullet talking for the entire class, and we need persons to participate in the chapter and tell us what the chapter is saying again. Like I said, this chapter 6 is just a refresher. We know that from recommendation 10 all the way to recommendation 24, all that deals with customer due diligence. And so we want to ensure that everybody has that down pat and we understand. So Ms. Bully shouldn't have to say anything about chapter 6. We'll go through the class and let everybody give us some information about due diligence. And then we will look at the paper, the homework, to make sure that everybody is on track with the mandatory question. Okay, so let's start with newspaper or civic organizations, 4 more classes. After this, before you blink, this is going to be over. Please.
I have a question, Ms. Bullet.
Yes, go ahead.
I done finished all of my work, correct?
You have your points for your civic organization.
That's the, I deal with that from the second class.
Okay, let me look at my list.
Me and what a name. I can't remember the lady's name. We was in the same.
Yeah, I have
session.
you. I have
Okay.
Shanda. I
Okay,
have Shanda, Indira, Demetria,
okay.
and the rest of these people in another class. Yeah.
Okay. All right, just checking my temperature. Okay.
Yeah, and so you did your homework, and so
Yes.
and you've been participating with the newspapers and the conversation. So yeah, great.
Okay.
You as well, Demetria.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Great. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I don't want y'all to now stop.
No,
No,
I said,
we-
no, no,
I want to ask something
My
else.
points down, Park. That's it. I said no signing off.
now you
No.
know what? No, and I like that grade what I get. I mean, it
Boy,
ain't a bad,
espresso.
it ain't a bad grade, but I was expecting at least 10 more points. But I gotta say, I gotta.
Espresso, trust me. I espresso this morning.
But did you understand from the comments what was missing?
Yeah.
That was straightforward. What you said was straightforward. I didn't use any of the admin case. You're right. So that's
Right.
my bad.
Right. And so we have to be careful when we read these questions. These questions normally have 3 parts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Dira, I had to fight for your points because
I realized
cross
that.
marker said she didn't use any case. How possible?
I tell Miss Archer, ease up off me now.
How possible can she get a grade? She didn't use any of the points. I say,
Miss
oh,
Archer, relax now. Tell Miss Archer, relax.
I ain't calling the cross marker name. I ain't calling the cross marker
You
name.
gotta call it. I don't know this. I've been in that school long enough.
Okay. Yeah. So sorry. Go ahead, Demetria.
So we don't have another chance.
No chances because the last class ruined or every courtesy that was offered by
Man,
insisting.
we can't do a task,
Yeah.
man. We ain't like that
Yeah.
with you.
I told you we had a person who did at least 10 revisions to one essay and demanded that it be marked when after she finished revising it 100 times. And so that's why 1 or 2 of you sent me and said, let me know. Nope, you have to go and get help or tutor or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So
Okay.
yeah, all those courtesies got after we got 100 reports from the last class.
So that means if we get a low mark, that means basically you
Stuck with it. But remember now, before, if you didn't get at least 70%, I would send that to you until you just redo it so I could give you a reasonable grade. But
right, I know.
I was told to stop that as well. Look, I got reported for that.
Oh, wow.
I got reported. I said, okay. I was reported that I'm making persons do the work 2 and 3 times. I said, okay, fine. Let me give her 30%. And I gave it to 30%.
But I ain't gonna lie, I can be honest. You see when I missed the class, right? That day, I didn't listen to the YouTube until after I submit. I can be honest. I did not. I was like, oh my God. When I had submitted it, that's when I realized. And I went and listened to it. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, all the answers right there, right? So before you answer any essay, you listen to the recordings, just as a refresher. And then when we get to the review class, that it seems like persons are now showing up to the review class expecting to get the answer rather than going out there and doing research, so you would know how to study. And so all of that cut out. Please, if you whatever topic. If your topic it was from class 1, you go back to class 1 and you listen to risk or the FATF or sanctions. Don't come to the review class saying I didn't know and I gone online. No, everything, you know, you have to do some research, but the majority of the answers come from the book. Okay,
Right.
good. All right,
Okay.
Jamal, go ahead, Jamal.
Good afternoon, everybody. Two things. One, Ms. Bullet, with the mandatory home with number question 1, the issue I had wasn't I had to cut back a lot of the wording because I was over, so I had to try and condense. So that was my problem with my paper. And secondly, I have my civil organization I would like to present.
Okay, and get your 5%. Okay, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So with ICA, they allow you to go over 10% and under 10%. Anything over that, you're penalized. Okay, so with those cases at the back of the book, condense it as much as possible. Some people wrote one-liners on them, and I don't know how you were supposed to be able to know which case they was even talking about, but no more than a paragraph to you know what I mean, to explain exactly what is happening, and then
Yes, ma'am.
you want to do a comparison to, does this happen in the Bahamas? Or only one person talk about all the charms and with somebody say Sugar Hill and something that one person as if we don't have strip clubs here.
That's
So
me, Miss
I was
Willett.
surprised. That was you, Andrea. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was like Sugar. I was like Sugar Hill. What is Sugar Hill?
It's right across the road from Family Guardian and Thompson Boulevard.
Oh look, I had to Google that. I was like, why? I
There
said,
you like you was being there.
I said, why Andrea making these things up at Sugar Hill?
No, I
You know what Sugar Hill.
I dead serious. I ain't been in there once. I dead serious.
But I mean, anybody else know about Sugar Hill? Or
Yeah.
I just seen a
Yes,
popular
ma'am.
one.
I would not
okay.
like to incriminate myself.
That and she
but
was
Sugar Hill
popular.
does exist.
Sugar Hill popular, Miss Bullet.
Okay. Miss Bullet just behind the times. That's all. All right, everybody Sugar Hill. Okay, well, interesting. I thought she made that one up. I said, child fact check it. I don't know. Okay, but good work, but good, Indira. And that's what, you know, how I was able to fight for your extra points. I think she's well aware.
Yeah,
of
you have to go to the place and check out what they do in the speed. You don't do nothing bad. You just
Hey,
go and observe it, what's happening.
from a
That's what I
compliance
told
perspective, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, big deal. You don't do
Right.
nothing. You just go to see, well, okay, this Saturday, the speed video in there. I was like, okay.
Okay, the whole class must go together. I just did it.
I can line that up.
No, that's okay. That's okay. That's a joke. That's a joke. You have to verify Indira's homework. Oh Lord. Okay. Okay, but good work. Okay, Jamal, go ahead. Come get your 5% so you could be in line with these ladies who are at the top of the class.
Yes, ma'am. On Tuesday evening, I attended a Toastmasters meeting for Club 7178. The topic for the night was time and tide, wait for no one. The Toastmaster of the day was Chanel Williams, and Toastmaster Nisha Noah, she gave the word of the day. The word of the day was abscond, ABSCOND, which means to leave hurriedly and secretly, typically to escape from custody or avoid arrest. The topic for the evening was Pass Me the Keys, 3 Pathways to Home Ownership, which was presented by Toastmaster Lynn Clark. The first pathway she talked about was purchasing a move-in ready structure, where she said how one of the benefits is you would have less property maintenance. And some of the drawbacks she spoke on was the increased asking price, a high down payment, and she said how the layout of the home or the property may not be to your standard. And she also spoke on how moving properties in Nassau are appraised between 350K to 800,000. Then she went to her second pathway where she speaks on building your home from the ground up, where she said the number one benefit is you get to design your own home. And the major drawback there is that it's time consuming. And her last pathway she spoke on was purchasing a distress asset, where she spoke on the benefits of it being you would have a reduced asking price and a reduced down payment. And your drawbacks would be an increased renovation costs and difficulty securing funds. And she says she spoke on how distressed property is for our appraised between 50,000 to 250,000. So that was the meeting in a summary and a quick summary. But it was a pretty informative meeting, especially as a young man who seeking to one day get a home. So I enjoyed the meeting.
Okay, very good. And do you plan to join?
As of right now, maybe not so, but maybe in 2 years or so, possibly.
Okay,
But
so did you introduce yourself?
Yes, ma'am. They had a introductory portion at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay. Okay, good. Very good.
Yes, Ms. Bullet, that was very informative, Jamal. I really, this group here, if I have to join Toastmasters, I will join the same club right here. That's the fun club. If you're outgoing and like to meet people, that's the club for you to be in. If you're a little conservative, you'd have to go in the other one. I can't remember the one that's happened on Thursday night.
I like no man. Dynamic
Yeah, that's
persuading.
the same one you was in, Demetria. That's the
I
one
like
if you're
that one,
laid
girl.
back. That's what I'm saying. If you're
Mhm.
laid back, that's the
I
group
like
for
that
you.
one.
I like the next one, the Tuesday group.
Okay, good.
But I
Good, guys.
joined actually. I had joined. I must say.
Okay, that's excellent. I'm very happy that y'all are getting informative information. And even if you don't join, like you say, there are various goals that you would have set, and these topics, they help. And so I'll get to know the right people, network, and get your name out there. Okay, so very good, Jamal. Thank you for sharing. Clavia, go ahead.
Bullet, I was supposed to attend the meeting, and this the second week the person never get back to me. So I'm actually now Demetria. I swear it right, or Demetria?
Pardon?
Is it Demetria or Demetria?
Demetra.
Demetra. If it's okay, can you extend an invitation to your group from me, please? Because
Sure.
this person keep
But I,
giving me the run around, and I like it. I really like it.
okay, I will.
Okay, so I'll reach out to you
Yeah.
and try to attend the meeting this week. But I did read
Okay.
the paper, Miss Fuller. You know I love to read the paper.
Okay, good. Go ahead and share with us.
It's a lot of things that happened this week. One of the main things, you can't sing and I in class. One of the main things that I noticed is everybody's talking about, we still talking about the rise in fuel, and I noticed that the people are saying that BPL did not capitalize on, not the government, sorry, did not capitalize on fuel for BPL. So in all actuality, we're kind of looking towards our fuel, electricity bills increasing.
But they did, after they did Freeport, Freeport went up by 3%. They
Yeah,
did put it out there in the news, and there was complete outrage.
yeah.
And then
Welcome
they
back.
retracted the statement.
Right. But it looks as if right now they have no control over it because they have no control over the price. And
How
so
can they listen? We
eventually,
have this big investment services board. Shell, initially when gas rose, stayed at 552. You know why? Because they bought futures. What
yes,
are the
they did.
traders that work for the Bahamian government and the investment persons doing? What are they doing? How
That's
possible did
that's
we not know?
that's what the article was about. The article was like how no one advised the government to get, you know, what you call
Futures,
futures for BPL.
right? How possible? And you using all this gas every day? Come on, and
And
this
then
fuel or oil.
another topic that I don't see it make the news yet, but boats are now duty free. or allegedly about to be
Well,
duty free.
listen, once you listen again, let me tell you, if you have a fishing business license,
Uh-huh.
you go and apply for the duty-free card, and they
Uh-huh.
give it to you, and you can bring in stuff related to fishing. So
Uh-huh.
technically, it was always duty-free, as far as I'm concerned. Because
Uh-huh.
if you were a fisherman and you know that concession was out there, you would, you know what I
To take
mean?
advantage of it.
Yeah, you would go and do it anyway. So I mean, it moved from they had it there as 10%, but everybody applied for the concession before.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if technically that was a gift. I think they just put it in there to make it look good. That's how I feel.
But Miss Paulette, reality is you're making boats duty free, but bread basket items still have VAT. How?
Okay.
Why?
Child, that's your government. You all vote them in. You all say you all was tired of menace. You know what you had, you didn't know what you could get. That's all I
All
got.
Tell them
they
it again, Miss
doing,
Paulette.
You
all
all was
they doing
tired.
right
You all,
now.
hey, minutes have to go. Minutes have to go. Minutes go on. Okay.
They ain't know what they was gonna get.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. So don't be sorry now. That's it. Y'all, ain't nobody force y'all.
Miss Paulette, minutes needed to go, but not the F&M. So minutes
Okay,
needed to go.
well,
Yeah, that's a
well,
good point, because he's too rude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. He is a different level of human.
yeah.
I agree. Okay.
He's
He must
a
be
business.
trained on
No,
the Castro there, market
but
crazy.
think about it. No, he's a little bit stricter because he's a millionaire. He's self-made. He made all his money. I mean, he did have some inheritance from his parents, but he didn't mess that up. He developed that and multiplied that. So, and he's a little bit more disciplined, more stricter than, what people would, want. I support Castro 100%.
Minutes
Cuba
had a
is,
full disconnect from the human being,
yeah,
the poor
but
people.
think
He
about
didn't
it.
know we have poor people going to the pump for water.
Now, come on now. Now, I don't think he had a total disconnect. But let me tell you about Cuba. In Cuba, you all bread basket items. You go, you get your loaf of bread, your milk, your butter, and everything for 15 cents. Gas for tourists is 25 cents, and for citizens is 15 cents. Um, you could walk through Cuba at any hour of the night. There is the army, which is like our defense force on every corner. Okay? The crimes are so severe. If you go in the shop and thief, you get 15 years. So crime is very low. They are considered the sex capital of the world, and they have the lowest AIDS and STD rate in the Caribbean. How possible? So I think to a certain extent, persons need a little bit of communism ain't so bad. Okay?
No.
Communism
Cuba
ain't
is
so bad.
nice.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you
Cuba
have to
is
look
nice.
at the results. You got to look at the results. The old Cubans, they support Castro. The young Cubans, they want internet and this and all these things, and so they don't want to be restricted. Just like the Bahamians, a lot of old people was like, okay, fine, lock us down. We ain't got to come out. It's too dangerous out there. The young people going crazy over the lockdown. Menace is a doctor. Think about it, man. I mean, people who have a relationship with God. We had lawyers, every prime minister or businessman. You don't think it was a point in time that at the time of a pandemic, the first time
Yeah.
in any of our lives, there was a doctor?
That's how God worked that out,
Oh,
Miss
okay.
Paulette. Whether you believe
Oh.
that or not, that's just how
That's how, to
it's
me,
designed.
right. And
Hey,
so
man, if we had Prime Minister Davis there when the pandemic, child, please,
we'd
more
have been
people would have
dead.
probably been dead.
All us would have been dead. Okay, because he went where to what state where his daughter was the doctor when he got COVID.
I think Atlanta. I'm not
Okay.
sure. I think it was ATL.
Okay, and do you all not see the amount of traveling in a pandemic when people when you be paying for this? Every week is an entourage and pictures, and they staying in 5-star hotels and having 5-star meals. It ain't even been a year yet, and they done travel more. I mean, this only used to be Fred. Now it looks like the whole party catch onto this. Anyway, you all vote them in. You all vote them in.
Well, trust me, I'm very disgusted with it. Trust me, I'm proud of it.
Yeah, they vote them in. So we'll see what happens. Godspeed to us all.
Boy.
Okay. Anita, go ahead, Anita.
Good afternoon, Ms. Bullis. Good afternoon, class.
Good
Um,
afternoon.
I just wanted to speak on the civic organization that I attended.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and I just wanted to confirm also, Ms. Bullitt, that I actually got my points for the newspaper article.
Let me look at this.
You can, yeah, you can just let me know because I know I presented already.
Right, yes, your name is on the list, yes.
Okay, thank you. I actually attended the Rotary Club of Nassau meeting on last week. The guest speaker was Alfredo Gonzalez. He's the international sales manager for Frontier Airlines. And he basically spoke about, of course, Frontier Airlines being in operation for 27 years. He mentioned that the company opened 11 international destinations, including the Bahamas. The company is all about the green initiative, meaning their goal is to do something about protecting the environment. He also touched on low airfare rates, particularly after COVID, due to the fact that it separated families, businesses, and people. And he said that their fares were rated based on the population size and the needs of the people. He also explained, gone are the days when persons had to pay $1,700 for a ticket based on the destination for one individual and was unable to afford it. So they're at a point now where they're kind of lowering airfares to accommodate the pockets of many. And he also touched on the awareness on saving gas and saving animals in danger of extinction. And the reason for this, well, actually, according to him, on their airline or on their plane, the tail of their plane, they have images of animals on it. And he also mentioned negotiations with Spirit Airline to purchase that. And he said if they were to win the bid, they would be the 5th largest airline company. And at the end of the presentation, they had, I think the Rotary have an upcoming changeover party event. So he donated 2 tickets to that. And then they went into their regular question and answers, and their parking lot is what they call it. And I did introduce myself. I did say that I'm from the intermediate compliance class from BIFS.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And so you found it beneficial and you'll attend again or looking to join it?
I've actually been attending that particular Rotary meeting since I started the compliance course, but I don't think I'm going to attend the Rotary because I'm already a part of Kiwanis. So yeah, so I don't think I'll attend that. I didn't want to talk about Kiwanis because I'm already a part of it.
Okay, understood. Okay. So very good. I'm happy that you found it beneficial. Yeah, I saw an article about Frontier, in the bid to buy Spirit, and the article wasn't very nice. They said 2 of the worst airlines is in terms of customer service are thinking about joining. Say they really need to revamp their customer service I guess officers in order to be able to make it in the market. Yeah, but that's interesting to know that they've been open for many years. Okay, and then has anybody been on Frontier? I see that they're leaving from Nassau now. Has anybody tried it as yet or?
No, ma'am.
Good.
Hi,
Miss Bullitt.
Hi.
Okay, I see Stoniqua Major. She's saying her electricity is off, so she's unable to attend right now. Log in.
Okay, yeah, mine is off too. Yeah, so tell her just listen to the recording.
Also, Sasha Stewart is unable to attend class today.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, mine's just blinked, thankfully, because I was thinking, I was like, oh, what if I can do this class from my phone? Yeah, but thankfully BC come right back on. One piece of thunder and that was it. That was it. Okay, guys, so very good. Like I say, 4 weeks left. Please don't let it sneak up on you, and you know, we not get what we need done in a timely manner to be able to sit in the exam comfortably. And I promise you, it really, really just makes a difference to be there, not worrying about, how many points you need to just pass. At least you should say, no matter what, at least I know I passed, but I am aiming for an 8, or I'm aiming for a higher grade. Okay, so please don't let the time pass you by. Okay, so chapter 6. So we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 persons, but I'm hoping this is because persons are gonna listen at a later date, or we are already sitting comfortably, with due diligence. And so there isn't much that we need to cover. So we'll start with Clavia. Clavia, please tell us, after reading the chapter, what was your takeaway with chapter 6?
Thanks, will I repeat the question again?
What was your takeaway with chapter 6? After reading chapter 6, what's your takeaway?
Well, I think this is question 3 on the homework, right? Has to do with risk space or something like that.
Yeah, I'll pull up the homework.
Okay, so actually I actually started my paper, and so it has to do a lot with the risk-based approach, and how you question 3 say recommendations. Countries should apply a risk-based approach to ensure that measures prevent or mitigate money laundering and terrorist financing. So yeah, and so on. So I've been doing some research on that, in alignment with what's in the book. So the main due diligence is kind of straightforward. You do your legwork, make sure all your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, don't miss nothing. Make sure you follow all the rules. If the person is, a PEP, if the person is someone from a country that shouldn't be doing certain things, you just follow the guidelines. Make sure that you have done everything to assess the person that's actually trying to do business with the establishment.
Okay, very good. Very good. And so I think somebody had asked about this question already. It's on the homework. I think it's also on the classwork. Let me pull up the classwork. And persons had asked, and we had gone through this already in terms of various jurisdictions. How do you answer this question? And let me just pull it up. Well, it's similar. It's similar. Because on the classwork, persons had asked how to answer question 4 and 5. And it talked about clients residing in various countries. And we talked about, some of the countries were high risk versus low risk. And so that's what the question was looking for, to ensure that you differentiated between the high risk and the low risk. Okay. This says critically analyze the above quote. And so when you see an analyzation, you want to go out and see what is the interest of industry saying about the risk-based approach and countries applying it. Okay, so in your research, Clavia, just look around on the internet and see who would have commented, or who would have made, I guess it would have been persons from the FATF or various countries, talking about, the implementation of the risk-based approach. You should find a lot of information where they are saying how expensive it is, and then of course, everybody compares themselves to Europe or America, and the smaller countries who are complaining, we can't be measured with the same stick, because we don't have the resources. And I always say that with the tax regime, the IRS spent $18 million to upgrade the IRS just to be able to receive that information, because they were going to make probably $550 million a year. So they could have spent that 18 million. However, little Bahamas, could we do that? Could we spend $18 million to upgrade our
No,
compliance?
ma'am. No,
Right.
ma'am.
Okay. We ain't have the first million, right? But again, all these laws were implemented and you had to put them in place or you would have been blacklisted. So again, we all know the statutory requirements. We all know identification. We know record keeping. We know training. We know monitoring. We know the MLRO. Okay. And so basically the risk-based due diligence falls under just implementing the statutory requirements as well as doing the checks and balances to make sure that you get correct information. And
Miss Bullet, also, if anybody else is, I mean, I go back and share this, if anyone else is doing the question, I used their website the last time for my paper as well. The FATF has a lot of information. I mean, they give you excerpts on even if they make just one small adjustment, there's a whole paper on that adjustment and it outlines everything, like all of the, like every topic that we've done, there's so much information that you could actually resort back to, and that's what I do. I use a lot of that to study and review too. So just putting it out there, guys, go to the FATF page. There's so much information that you won't really have to stress about trying to find examples or anything like that. Like the information is there, and then sometimes you could just go into once they give you the little examples of what I tend to do is I just go to Google or whatever and I start to type in the country or whatever they talked about, and then more information populates. So like I say, the website has an enormous amount of info.
yeah, and please, in your own words, we have seen a million of these essays, and we know we don't even know some of these words you'll be using when you're copy and paste. Please read it, analyze it, and then put it in your own words. And like I said, don't copy according to this paper and a large piece, a paragraph over the FATF say. You don't get any points for that, okay? In your own words, because we're checking for comprehension, okay? Okay, so good. Very good, Clavia. Thank you for sharing. So along with all what is required, we know what is required for identification. So we want to talk about some of the issues that occur when we are identifying, okay? And again, in the intro, we talked about all the aliases. At Royal, our account opening package on the wealth management side was 45 pages. There were places that you had to initial. There were clauses, there were general terms and conditions that had to be initial. However, remember now, nobody walks into the bank to open up an account. We have external asset managers all around the world. So an external asset manager or business introducer would have been sitting in Switzerland. The customer would have seen them in Switzerland. The EAM might have gone out to their house and had them sign the papers. Then they would have not checked and sent it through FedEx to us. We received it, and our verification department, and a lot of companies don't have a verification department. They expect this work to be done by the compliance department, okay? But there should be a verification department that says section A, B, and C is not signed, or it's not initialed properly, and this needs to go back to the client, okay? Indira, tell me why that needs to go back to the client. Why we can't just fill it in for the client?
Because you'll be lying.
Correct. And the client has its copy, right?
Exactly. So
Right,
you have
and-
to fill it out correctly.
Right.
Because
And
you'll
what is
be
the-
held liable and accountable. They will sue you all.
Right. And so the whole purpose, and I don't know why people don't get this, the whole purpose of filling out this application is if something goes wrong, we can show up in court with our copies. that say
Exactly.
you agreed to this general terms and condition. Do you want me to tell you how many, more than 10 occasions we showed up in court where the Customer brought its copy and we brought our copy. And the customer could show, I did not initial section 3, 4, and 5 because I didn't agree with that, right? On the bank side, 3, 4, and 5 initial. Who write that TB in there?
They go in the jail.
Okay, and so here it is on our 10th occasion of showing up in court for tampering with evidence of tampering with documents. The court are finding us and saying they can shut us down because you see in the first occurrence, how many y'all cannot fill in the blanks for the customers because these customers are very savvy. They have lawyers, they have accountants, they know that their account will not be open if they don't sign. But if we are negligent, oh, I just need this account. Remember, a lot of the salespersons are on commission. They don't get paid until that account is open, right? And so therefore, they initial in that themselves, okay? And we allowing it, okay? And once we allow that, God forbid something happens, it ain't no longer y'all just tamper. You could go to jail now, okay? So please stop tampering. If it's incomplete, it's incomplete. Send it back. Let the customer confirm that you know, they agree to this. Even if you don't want to send the entire document back by FedEx, you write a memo. You have the customer sign a memo that I agree the terms and conditions 4, 5, and 6. I inadvertently did not sign or initial on that spot, and therefore please accept this signature on this letter as a confirmation that I agree to those terms and conditions. Okay, please, you all stop filling in the blanks for these people. Okay, you go to jail. And you don't know if this person is committing fraud, you know, and they get a subpoena to produce, and they come and they say, well, the bank committing fraud as well too, because they didn't even sign that section, and the bank have it signed. So it appears as if the bank even committing fraud. Okay, so y'all please be careful with that. Okay. Another thing is, and I think it was this class where we talked about Edison Sumner, right? Was it this class? We familiar with the case?
That's the first class. I think that's the first, that's intro we had a discussion on him. How
Right.
he was doing these, buying these BMW and signing and doing all these nonsense on behalf of one customer.
Right.
Something
right.
like that.
Yeah, so on behalf of his company account, you know, his signature match, and that's a lot. That's what we ask look for when we accept transfer requests. First of all, we get the transfer request by email. We just check to see if the signature match, and then we process. We check to see if it come from the same email. Then we do a call back. We stamp the call back, and we send this money to buy this BMW. Okay. Do we ever check the profile of the account? Who working in banking? Let's see. Shanda, Lene, you're working in banking?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you ever get a transfer request to send funds, or you work on retail side?
I want to.
Talking about to do a wire for client?
Yeah, to do a wire.
Yeah, but they would have to complete a form for that request.
Okay, we can complete the form. We could complete the form, my signature match. You could call back and say, yes. You could call back and say, is this Edison Sumner? Yes, it is. Did you want this buyer to go to buy this BMW? Yes, it is. Yeah, yes, please process it. Send the wire for my BMW. Okay. What have we realized from this case that we have to check as well, Shanda, before you send that wire? You know about the case?
A question, is he saying, you saying he's purchasing for himself or for the company?
No, for himself.
Well, with the invoice should be for him if it's coming from his account. And also in terms of sending an email, that person would need to actually sign for like an internet, telephone, and fax agreement that
Okay, so
is recorded on
that's
file.
that's on
And
file. He
yes.
even bring in the invoice. He walk it in, and you know that's him.
Okay.
Full copy.
Well, we just have to check the details of the oh God, what is it called? The potential activity.
Yeah,
he
it
would've-
in the potential activity of the account and the money there. This account was a company account. It was open.
First of
for-
all, you have to look at the nature of the account and why is
there you
what
go.
and what's the account, what it used for, what it was
Purpose.
open for, the purpose of the
Yes.
account. You can't
Yes.
just take it upon yourself to use monies because you sign on the account. It's not yours.
Correct, Shonda. And so are we checking those profiles to ensure that, hey, this is Edison Sumner, he is in the bank, signature Chamat, she's a signatory, the money is on the account. Are we looking at those accounts to ensure that this is in the profile of the account?
When persons come in for the business to do transactions, those invoices should be for the business, not the person itself. It's
Okay.
not a personal account.
Okay, so if he says
So
debit, if there's no invoice and he says debit this account and send it to Going Places for tickets to Disney World.
he can't do that by himself because
Okay.
yeah, he can't do that.
The second signature there, two people to sign, both, and that's what happened. He was banned for 10 years and the CEO was banned for life from the Securities Commission because they had opened this account. They had sent persons down, I think it was the Scotiabank, to deposit money for cryptocurrency. However, his office should have had an operating account, right? He should not have been able to buy a BMW, purchase tickets to Disney World, buy a Rolex watch from the cryptocurrency account. If his office had an operating account and they were the signatories and the shareholders agree, then they could do whatever. Or if it's a sole ownership and that's what you want to do to your business account, then you know, at some point your officer should call you and say, well, listen, I see you've been to Disney World of the company account. Was that for the staff or was that for you and your family? Because that is outside the profile of the account, and especially when it's other person's money. Okay, so when these companies come and open up these accounts, more than likely it's other people's money. They say this is for loans, this is for cryptocurrency, this is for investments, then they cannot use that account to buy personal goods. Okay, and so that's my whole point. We have to carry out our due diligence properly. Okay, we cannot only say the signature match, we do the call back and the money there. No, is it within the profile? Is this his personal money? Okay, and if it is his personal money, then I tell my customer who just says, well, I can't keep account of all these accounts. I said, okay, what I will do is please send a transfer that says you want it to go to your personal account, and then I'll buy you Disney World tickets. Okay, because within this profile, it's for business purposes. Okay, and that should be a suspicious transaction.
Ms. Ballard,
Yes.
I have a question in reference to what we're talking about. So in reference to Edison Sumner case, would his source of wealth come into question? I mean, knowing what his position was and all of that, I'm quite sure that he was making some monies, some dollars. But would his source of wealth come into question when he would have actually asked for that to happen?
Well, guess what, Anita? At account opening, his source of wealth should have been checked. And that's another thing. We ask for a job letter, they bring it in, we stamp a job letter on file. We don't corroborate it. We don't say, well, Mr. Sumner, you only make $2,000 a month. where you getting 10,000 from, right? We just say job letter received. We never even read it. That job letter can say he never worked for us before, and we just know a letter come in and we put it on file. Don't let it be like 2 pages. Or we asking for financials. We are not accountants. We don't know how to read the financials, and we definitely ain't going to the accountant department to ask nobody to help us. So receive. We don't even check to see if the account is if the business is profitable, or how much receivables they have outstanding to make a determination. Okay, this business seems to have revenue. However, they have 10,000 or $10 million in receivables. That means somebody in this business is not doing their job properly and collecting the money. So the next question you should be asking, why are your receivables to this amount? Who owes you all this money? And what's your standard? Are you collecting every 15 days or every 30 days? How could these people owe you this money this long and your business still survive? You know, so again, we are not properly trained to do these things. And until something happens, then we go through these accounts and we find out that these people should have never even had the account.
So that would be an indictment on the company itself then?
Yes, on the bank that opened the
Right.
account. 'Cause
Right,
you didn't
okay,
do proper due diligence.
right, okay.
Right. So let me tell you. So I was hired to keep a bank open. And when we started the review, this account had been open for 5 years. And they have specifically, like, on your Wolfsburg questionnaire for your correspondent banking account, they ask you, what percentage of your business is gas and oil? What percentage is marijuana? What percentage is illegal pornography or whatever? And so, of course, if you go over 50%, they don't do business with you. And some companies will tell you, or some banks will tell you, oh no, we don't do business with marijuana, so we can't even open this account for you. So you have to be very careful when you fill out these forms and you talk about the products and services that you offer and your clients. And whilst we were going through the review of these accounts, we found out that this account was the platform, the technological platform for Pornhub. Okay, so if we have in our AML directives that we don't do business with illegal, with pornography, it's not legal in the Bahamas, or Pornhub or whatever, it's not legal in the Bahamas, but in the state where it's registered, it was legal. Okay, and technically, this was not Pornhub itself, but this was the porn platform, you know, and they didn't even know this. And that's how this money was coming in. It's like, this man is making a lot of money. And so he was being paid for the platform that Pornhub sits on. You know, he's just a computer guy. Okay, and he decided he wanted to open his account in the Bahamas. So of course, when we told the board, you know, in our board meetings, we said, we just like to advise you all that, you know, when our clients provides the platform for Pornhub. So all of the Christians said, oh my God, close it out, that's illegal, blah, blah, blah. You know, so in our appetite, if you were gonna keep that account, you had to ensure that it was a part of your appetite. You had to ensure that all of the forms that you filled out, say the type of clients you have in their businesses, that you actually know. And a lot of times, like I say, especially in the in retail world, it's much simpler, but in the offshore world, they don't know, because nobody ever checks. We check the box. Job letter received, financial received, is received, signature signed. Boom. We take a closer look, we'll be very surprised. Okay, so you can't have an account like that on your books if your risk appetite says we don't do illicit pornography, and pornography is against the law in the Bahamas. Okay, so just so you would understand. So you have to dive a little deeper, and there are, what should I call it? There are controls now in place by the regulators where we have to give an annual AML return. And so this helps us categorize our clients better, because you have to know what type of client you have and what businesses your client they are in. Okay, a lot of times the forms always asking us to put anything on it because we just knew that we couldn't say yes or the account wouldn't be open. But now the regulators are checking, banks are checking, everybody is checking. So you want to ensure that you what? KYC, know your customer. Okay, that's the biggest problem surrounding customer due diligence. We still checking the box. We are not corroborating the information that we receive. We just putting it on file because we happy we get the 45 pages. Everything signed, close that file and move on to the next one.
Ms. Bullet, in that regards, you have to also know the customer as well. You
Yes.
can't just rely on just knowing your customer, but you need to know exactly what their customer dealing with in order for you to not be defrauded or used as
Correct. Yeah, you have to know, and you have to ask questions, and this is why it has to be relationship banking. You have to build a relationship with these persons so they can trust you.
Yeah, you have to probe. You have to probe.
But what is happening in the banks now is that compliance is not customer facing. Compliance is background. Compliance should never speak to customers. But right now, compliance knows the customer better than the account officer and the people on the front line.
How is that possible?
Because we don't have a choice. These people just simply don't do their work. You know, and the offshore world is so competitive. The ease of doing business. Oh, you're gonna run away the customer. Or if you ask me, if I got married, I wouldn't want that. I suppose I'm a personal person. I wouldn't want to tell you that I got married. And then we had a gay customer who married a prime minister's son. Oh, he's gay. He doesn't want anybody to know that he's gay. I can't. I know there are pictures on the internet with the president, or I think Maui's son, but I can't ask him that. How could don't ask him then? He's a pep. Marriage is legal in their country, not in ours. What do you do? Okay, but again, like I say, know your policy, look for the gaps, understand your job position, and build a very close relationship with these persons so they'll feel comfortable talking with you. Okay, and you know, you always blame the third person. I understand, you know, these doing business, and I really wish I could make this easier for you, but I have to have you fill out this form. Okay, let me sit with you and fill it out to make sure we get sufficient information so we don't have to come back a second time or a third time, you know? So you have to just be savvy, make the person very comfortable, you know, and they will shout at you. They will say, listen, I could go down to Delta. They won't ask these questions. It doesn't take this long. This is too much. And you have to just find a way to appease them. But these account officers, they don't want to appease them. They speak up, you know, cutting deals. Listen, I can get passed on, Miss Bullet. Don't worry. You just put this in there or you just sign this. Like they working more with the customer because they want this account so bad rather than, you know, being, what should I say, compliant. Okay, but it's a double-edged sword. That you have to strike a balance between front office and compliance. We can't constantly be at war. Okay, if no accounts open, you don't need a compliance department.
You have to be a very strong individual to work in sales because of the pressure they put on you to get those totals. If you're not a strong person, you're gonna get yourself in problems.
Yeah, you will steal. And 1 year, Royal Bank had let 134 salespersons go because they did not meet their targets. And listen to me, every bank.
Because they probably wasn't realistic. You have to be sensible when you setting goals. It has to make sense.
Yep.
You can't just say, well, get 1.5 million each officer. Where in the hell you can get it?
During a pandemic. Yeah.
How in the world you gonna get that?
Yeah. So
you tell me how you gonna get it.
Yeah, so we are fully aware, and we are that whole forecast is never realistic. And we have put, at least at my institution, we put in place that forecast must come, the compliance to be approved before before it goes to the sales team, and we make sure that it's realistic, it's a smart goal, and it's achievable. Because I'm telling you, we have had so many people manipulate the system. Another bank I audited, I think I would have told some of you this story where we were at what is it? They have an AGM meeting, and we were there, and
Yeah,
they give the
that's in
salesperson
Freeport.
of the year.
Yeah,
I tell you all
that's
that
an
the
Freeport.
person won. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody, the whole entire, we was at that honest. Everyone was like, Freeport? And the lady walked up and collected a prize. And of course, immediately when we got to work Monday, we had more than 50 requests to check that. The whole Bahamas sales team say, it's no way. But we even said it was no way she could have won in Freeport over Nassau. So yeah. And she was manipulating the system. And we have
Yes, Miss
many
Burnett, I
people who do
remember.
that.
I remember we had a situation like that at SBL as well. Every year I used to wonder how in the world Naughty Lutra, a little branch, cutting the big branches up in Nassau,
Right.
what they were doing down there.
Mhm.
The loan officer and the manager, they were creating loans for dead people.
Yep. Yep.
I was like, and they walking scot-free right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many things, so many. If you see how creative these people, I said, man, they said, you need to open your own business. I would never imagine some of the things they did. And they got away with it for years and years and years. Okay. So be careful of that. Okay. And when you become the client compliance officer and you hear the little sips like the sales is unreasonable and I'm afraid for my job, check it, intervene and help them out, because of course, everybody's just looking at the bottom line and how much money we making. So that's why they change compliance. They developed it from just compliance to compliance, risk and governance, and they put a whole section in there about technical skills, interpersonal skills, and ethics. Okay, and building a strong culture where people make ethical decisions, that you don't put targets in place that cause people to compromise themselves. Okay, you want to be very, very careful with that. Okay. Another thing with these company accounts, like I said before, the law used to say 25% or more interest, you verify the customer. And so we had persons saying they own 20% and 10%. Now they decreased it to 10% interest, you need to be verified. So now we have people coming and saying they own 8% of the company. Okay, to me, that's a red flag. Now you can insist that they bring in information. However, you can word check them, Google them. Why this person will stay below the radar? What's going on here? Okay. When you open a company account, there's a shareholders registry. It tells you who the shareholders are and what percentage of the company that they use. If you ever see Bullet & Co., you have to then ask, who does the co represent? Because that means as a company, the law now requires there to be a natural person. Okay, so it can't be no in co, it can't be no nominee, it can't be anybody. You have to then say there's another document, a nominee agreement, who's holding the shares, who does Bullet & Co represent. I always say it could be Bullet and Bin Laden, right? Another thing you want to look out for is what type of shares are there. Are these registered shares or are these bearer shares? And years ago, if your country offers bearer shares, it makes you a bit high risk. However, the Bahamas stopped offering bearer shares, but we still can open an account for bearer share accounts. And so for a little while, I think up until 2018, we had a lot of Panamanian accounts that were bearer shares. So of course, we had to flag them and we had to call the customers and say that Panama now has no longer offers bearer shares. So we need you to go in and register your shares or you have to close out the account. Okay, you want to ensure you know what type of shares that company is holding. If it's bearer shares, you want to check. Okay, bearer share, a registered share means that a registrar somewhere would have verified you and has your name, telephone number, and everything, and documented you as the owner of the company. A bearer share is almost a certificate. It'll come in Clavier role, and you decide that I wanna turn these shares over to Ben Laden, and so you just sign. So that isn't even registered anywhere that you sold your share to Ben Laden. Okay, and of course we won't open an account for Ben Laden, correct? So here it is. This account already open in your name, and you've transferred ownership. No registrar has documented that. And of course, if the registrar had documented it, if it was a registered share, and Ben Laden walked in and said, Clavier just sold me his shares, they would chase him away, correct? Right? And so that's the risk with bearer shares, that it could be transferred without, to somebody who is not reputable. Okay? And so Bahamas law says if you have a bearer share account, if the company opens it, there are two types of documents that you have to do. There's a letter of undertaking from the person holding the shares, and there's a letter of undertaking from the customer. So Clavier, you have to write a letter and say, I promise before I transfer these shares, I will contact my financial institution and let them know that I am transferring these shares to Ben Laden, give them the opportunity to agree that they want to keep the account open. So of course we say, okay, Clavier, go ahead and transfer this ownership to Ben Laden. We closing this account. Or we say, we would have verified you transferred over to Demetria. She's a reputable person. Let her bring in all her KYC information, and we'll keep the account open. Okay, and that's a big thing in Switzerland, because I don't know if I told you all this story, whereas very young investment managers are purchasing the goodwill of companies that would have been established for 50 years. And that was, I told you all about that story, correct?
No.
Indira?
No,
No?
ma'am.
Okay.
No, I don't remember that story.
So we had an investment manager who was 24 years old come in to open an account with $99 million. $99 million, right? So of course Miss Bullet was jealous, right? Because she have no million. So I turned that file upside down. I said, something wrong right off the top, right? Who give this 24-year-old boy $99 million? No way. And so of course, that sales manager sat on my lap. Miss Bullet, I need this account open today. What I gotta do? What happened? This is a legit person. You don't have to check this, you don't have to check that. I said, okay, just give me a second. While he's standing over me, I go through all the information and I say, he's 24, where did he get this $99 million from? Oh, this is an omnibus account. He have investors into some type of cryptocurrency product or whatever, and he is legit and whatever. So each person gave, must he 50 million, and he has some 50 clients, and this a portfolio or whatever. So I say, okay, fine. So I gotta verify those 50 clients, make sure they legit. But I am concerned. He is 24, and his letters, his opening letter say they've been in business for 50 years. So I said, who was the previous owner of the company? And so they gave me, say, a Poitier name, and his name was Roll. So I was like, so he doesn't have his father's last name. I said, is he taking over the business? Is his father retiring? So they say no. So I said, how, he's 24, how possible could you be in business for 50 years? I say, request a reference from the bank where this $99 million is. So they requested a letter. Same thing, the account been open for 45 years in good standing, and the balance is $100 and something million, and they are ready to transfer the 99 million or whatever. I say, wait a minute. if this in his daddy account, where, how possible you know, what is relation to this man? Absolutely nothing. Then we dig deeper and we find out that in order to open an account on the wealth management side, they say 2 or 3 years, right, of financial history. And so they are going into Switzerland and different parts of Europe and buying out companies that close down and still have a bank account, and they use the name and the goodwill, hoping that the new bankers do not pick it up. And so they going under, like, let's look at a McKinney Bank often used that been around for 40 years, or Higgs and Johnson. Higgs and Johnson been open for 70 years. Some new young buck take it over and just using the goodwill of the name that already established and the bank account history. You see? And so legitimately, it's not him who ran the company, who that history does not technically belong to him. You know, and so we said no, we couldn't open that account. And I thought I was to die. I had to wear my bulletproof vest to work. But I said that it's not his money. It's not his money. It's not his history, and it's not, you know what I mean? So I said, if he had another company that is already established, like for 2 or 3 years, he has to wait. Listen, they most killed me. I was afraid. Yeah. So y'all be careful of that. Okay.
Excuse me, Ms.
If it-
Fuller.
Mhm.
I'm experiencing some internet issues over on my side, so I'm every so often I get knocked out. So if you don't hear me, that's what's going on.
Okay, but just listen to the recording later. Okay, so in the
Okay.
in the offshore world, that's a tactic. Okay, so you want to make sure that this good history and this goodwill belongs to you, or your father, or somebody who you inherit the business from, not a total stranger who had nothing to do with you. Okay, so be careful of that. All right, are we clear? We on the same page? Y'all still there?
Yeah.
Yes, we're still on the
Okay.
same page.
Okay, and all of this falls under due diligence. Okay, you want a copy of the board resolution. Again, we had a messenger that stole some checks, and of course he was a messenger, so he would deliver company documents from the company to different areas. And so he decided that he would just steal a copy of the company documents, walked into a Scotia bank, opened up an account, and said that he was the signatory. Now, again, you can't ever eliminate risk. You can only mitigate it. And meaning you put controls in place to help reduce the risk. So after this happened, it happened a few times where persons who just got a copy of the company documents, went to banks, open up accounts illegitimately. They put in place that you must have a resolution from either a director or a board of directors. And so in your KYC package, you ask for a copy of a list of members and directors who are part of the company, and you check all their signatures. Along with that, you get a certified copy now, because anybody could go online and just make up an Excel sheet. Okay. Along with that, you get a board resolution if your company does not have an internal one, and then you compare the signatures that is matched. Okay, so if Jamal and Lene sign on, you want them to write a letter saying, I approve this account to be opening, and these are the approved persons to sign on this account. Okay, so that means Clavia can't walk in the bank and say, I open a Royal Bank account and I the signatory. So as he had checks to deliver, he deposited those checks to the account he had opened, and all the bank checks. He was just taking the money, going in the bank, and this was his account he was signing off. He was the signee, and so the teller was doing what was right. The account officer did not do proper due diligence. Okay, so that board resolution is just another layer to try and protect persons from fraud. Okay, And so person started calling and saying, you know, or the person at Royal Bank was calling and saying, listen, I paid this bill is outstanding for so many days. And then they said, no, I paid this. And then another bill is outstanding for so many days. They said, no, we paid it. And then they tracked it to say, well, wait, all these checks being cleared through the CM Bank and the CM Bank account. Who account this is? Royal Bank. Then they say, send us the information, and then we find out this messenger is the signatory. And that's how we found out what happened almost a year later. And more than $100,000. Okay. So
Now, Ms. Burnett, clearly he really don't understand how that clearance system works. That's the easiest way to get caught if you stealing by a check. Come on, man.
well, he get away with it for a year. One full year.
So what happened to him
What
after
you
it was
think
discovered?
again, he was let go. They
Uh-huh.
lock him up, but then
Uh-huh.
Royal Bank, for the reputational risk, do not show up the court, because
Oh.
every time you show up the court, it across the newspaper that your staff is thief. The people could take their money out of the bank because the staff is thief too much. Okay. And I don't know if it was this class I discussed it with, but I said, I'm very interested now when they stop dragging the people across the TV. So we don't even see anymore.
No.
But the banks do not want the reputational risk. However, stealing and theft and fraud now fall under money laundering. And
Mhm.
so I'm wondering if they are going to not be able, Royal Bank, Scotia Bank, all these banks that don't want the reputational risk, they can't get past on that money laundering charge. You see what I mean? Because the
Right.
record will reflect
Mhm.
that the banks did not do their part. And after somebody noticed it somewhere, the court system that say, hey, we are being internationally watched. These people saying we ain't charging nobody with money laundering. However, we have 50 people charged with theft and the banks never show up. So I'm wondering now if they can avoid that risk any longer now that the crime falls under money laundering. So I'm very interested to see how that's going to pan out.
Right. And I
Yeah.
think that's the reason why, Ms. Bullitt, a lot of persons who are scammers tend to do it all. Like you say, employees who tend to steal because they know, yeah, they may get charged a little fine, if all of that, but they're going to get away with it
Yes.
because of the reputational risk of the company.
Anita, you don't get away with it. Monday morning, they on a new job.
Exactly.
Okay? When Miss Bullitt office first started, take me a year to find a job. You thief, Monday morning, you hired as the assistant manager, this and manager.
Mhm.
Okay?
So true.
For years. Miss Bullitt ain't never thief, and it was hard for me to find a job.
Right.
So
Right.
I just don't understand. Okay? So
Yeah, the honest ones always suffer.
yes, always. But remain ethical, you have to
Yes.
answer to the Lord. You know, God
Indeed.
provides. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so another thing is good standing. So a lot of companies, they go, a lot of entrepreneurs, they go and open up a company, and then they come directly to the bank and they open up a bank account. You do not get a good standing until the first year after your company would have been open. Okay. And so you have to make a note in the system that today is June 25th, 2022. I'm opening this account. Next year, I need to check for Anita's good standing. Okay. And she will get that good standing once she would have paid all her fees and wasn't struck off for any other conflict or disbar or anything like that, any suing or whatever of a company. Okay. Another thing that we do is we never ever get the good standing. By the time it's next year come, we forget but a needle and we on to the next customers. Okay. We need to get that good standing each year. It was another fund administrator I audited. My God, company has been struck off and sued and shut down from 1998, and they allowing these people to invest in the market under the company name that been struck off from 1997. Okay. And so as an administrator, you are supposed to ensure that those fees are paid. Never paid the fee. We was trying to sort that out for them. $80,000, I think the registrar asked for, because the fees were not paid from 1997. The company had been sued, all sorts of stuff, you know, and as the administrator never checked. They never got a good standing. All sorts of stuff happened. And not only after they paid that $80,000, all kind of fees associated with it, the amount of money, is a crazy situation. But you cannot allow companies, and a lot of people, they don't want their name, especially politicians, and either don't want anybody to know that you in this C-file fund or this one or that next one, right? So she going under Sunshine Investment Company, but Sunshine Investment Company has to pay those fees every year. If Sunshine Investment Company is sued and they talk about they bankrupt and they don't have no money, then you have to shut down, you struck off. You can't still be operating on the Sunshine Investment Company. You can still have bank accounts. Okay, so that good standing is very important, overlooked again. Okay, we don't have time for that. Ms. Bullet, we have more than 100 companies. You need more than 100 good standings. Okay, you have to make sure that that company is fully operating, especially if they're operating in the market. Because if the US or the SEC or any market, they find out, IRS find out about that, that company could get shut down. Yeah, I wouldn't even talk about the fines that they have to pay. Okay, and the CEO, like I said, that's negligence. Okay, so you have to be very, very careful. Okay, you want to be careful with power of attorneys. They cease at death. Okay, and what you will see happen is the people who have POA over the account, they want their fees, they want everything. They don't want to wait for the 10 months for the probate to happen. They want all their money right now. So you'll see the money coming out the account that the person died like 3 days ago. So you want to be very careful and ensure that you document the date of death. In the offshore world, we have countries like Switzerland and France. They are civil law jurisdiction. The Bahamas is common law. If your client is from a civil law jurisdiction, they have this thing called a hair certificate, where Anita could just say, leave everything in the club here, and that's it. It could get stamped by Rodney Munker, okay, by a justice of the peace. And you all know how our justice of the peace is. You give them $25, anything you get stamped. They ain't never meet the person who didn't know you from 10 years or nothing like that. So people hurriedly run to the bank with these hair certificate and take off the money, and then the real executive or the real person who was supposed to get the money done gone and they done run off with it. Okay, so if your client dies in the civil law jurisdiction, and you know their laws are very slack in regards to deceased accounts, if the account is in the Bahamas, Bahamas is common law that has that hair certificate, or even if they say, well, I probated in Switzerland, they have to be probated in the Bahamas. And I'm telling you, I promise you, I had about 15 accounts where this happened, where the people tried to run off with the money, and even the account officer who sat in Switzerland tried to defraud me, and me worked for the same company. I had to report him 10 times, like, why does this man keep asking for this money? It's being probated in the Bahamas. And then the lawyers want to say, oh, we don't need a Bahamian lawyer to probate. We've already probated in Switzerland, and they don't want to pay. Oh, they're trying to rip us off. You have to pay now $5,000 to get it probated in the Bahamas. This is a ripoff, but that is Bahamian law. Okay, so again, if you work in the offshore world, you need to know that. And even so, if you don't work in the offshore world, if you may have a French customer who's just an expat, or somebody from Switzerland, we have a lot of Swiss persons here, and they have accounts. Okay, so you would know, God forbid they pass away, check the law of their country and check that probate. If it's from a civil law, it has to be probated here. Nobody wants to do it. They will fight you, and if you don't know, they will trick you. Okay, and that's why you're here, so you would know these various things. Okay, outside of that, cooperation. Okay. And not only that, from the onset of the account, once that account is open, high, medium, or low, you will never know, everything about a customer, but you must be knowledgeable. You must be able to speak to the customer on the background of the customer. And so I always say, I need an overview. Don't come with 50 pieces of paper and expect me to put a puzzle together. I always ask for an account opening synopsis. Okay. And not only that, if Miss Bullet has a personal account and she on Royal Bank of Canada account and she on her own company account, I want a pyramid to show me every account that she connected in. Okay. And that would help me to know her better and develop a pattern. And that's the only real way you can protect yourself. But when she over here and you don't know she have this account, and and if the structure is not in place, that hampers the availability of information. If you don't know this is a European desk and an Asian desk and then a Latin America desk, with each person's, with a portfolio of a certain amount of clients, you then become overwhelmed. It's very hard to develop partners. It's very hard to pick up what Asians doing. If you have one Asian, one European, one Latin American, okay? So if your company has a structure in place, all of that helps. Like we have 800 clients, nobody can know 800 clients. However, we could know sufficient information about 100, okay? And then account reviews, these are always passed through, not done properly. We don't have time for it. You have to make time for it, okay? The system can only do so much. At the end of the year, you print out the history. What did Miss Bullet do this year? Any of this look funny? Any of this outside? And sometimes you could see Rolex watch purchase. I say on the cryptocurrency account, Scrabble, on this business account. Like, what happening? Is she the sole owner? Let me look at the registry. Okay, that's how money she can do whatever. But if other persons have shares, they know Miss Bullet, been to Disney World with a children. Okay, you have to look out for stuff like that. So do the reviews. You develop the relationship so you can passively ask the hard questions and not turn away the customers. Okay, and document all this. Keep your files in order. Be able to speak knowledgeably to them. And even if your company is defrauded or infiltrated, you won't go to jail. But if your company is defrauded and you can't speak knowledgeably to it, you could be charged, you could be fined, you could definitely lose your job. Okay, and you can go to jail. Okay, so just protect yourselves and be careful and know your job description. Any other functions, know how to speak to your job description, make sure it's clear. Don't be like, oh, I saw a lot of stuff and it ain't written. No, make sure it's written. Make sure you understand, make sure you have the correct tools to work with. And where you don't have system capabilities, then you do things manually and have that manual process documented so you can prove that the system does not do this. And so I have to do this manually. Okay. Or we have a new system. That's how Volkswagen defrauded the world. New system, new, but nobody knew how to work. Okay. Take some time, get to know the system. Okay, you'll be very surprised how people manipulate the system and how slack the system is. Because at Royal, I used to always say, God, thank God for ethics, because this is so easy to manipulate. And a lot of people who found out, they manipulated it. Okay, protect yourself. Everybody who defrauded and stole was very close to me. We used to go to lunch together. I used to drop them home. I used to pick them up. Okay, when it comes to money, draw the line. You could go to lunch every day or whatever, but protect yourself. Don't be signing. Don't be handing cash and talk about it right at the entry later. Don't let people go into your cash drawer. Don't let people come into your system and see your password. I promise you, my best teller took $80,000 from a blind man. Okay, use the data entry clerk password and transferred all kind of money. because her and the daughter and she girl used to go to lunch together, and she just sat close to her one day and saw her password. She signed into another system, transfer all this money. Okay, it is your friend, it is the person who is close to you, your enemies. You so aware of them that
They right
can't,
on the side of you.
yeah, they can't come within 10 feet. The people who you don't like can't come within 10 feet of you. You checking them every day, but it's those besties, those ride or dies. Okay, protect yourself. When you're dealing with money, but always be aware. Clear desk policy, lock your screen. Empty your garbage and shred. Watch out for the car wash person. Don't go in Valley Park with your computer and you have a hatchback or a Jeep. People are very savvy. They are dumpster divers. Okay, so protect yourself. Okay, any questions or concerns?
No, Miss Bullet.
No, ma'am.
Protect yourself.
You all good? Clear? Okay, you all hail Miss Bullet now. When I see you on the Crab Fest now, you all don't play like y'all don't know me. Since the rest of the rest of the class done there, I might not join them. You all think it go rain? What y'all
Of
think?
course, it rains every crab fest, Miss Bullet. That's why I stopped going.
Oh, okay. Miss Bullet must really go there. So I still look like gloomy. Will the PC turn off again? I on the boat. I go. I'll see you all there. Okay, but you all be safe and you all have a good weekend. And next week we'll look at a risk rating form.
Likewise.
We'll start with the country risk rating, and then we will so you'll take a while and go back and look at the Basel Committee and also the Transparency International, look at the CPI index. So when I say all these things, you'll understand, and then we'll look at an internal one on how we risk rate these customers. Okay.
Okay.
And
Okay.
understand methodology.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Have a great weekend. See you all next week.
Likewise. Good evening.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.